So, you want your freedom to live your life on your terms, to pursue your happiness and sample the delicacies this world has to offer. Of course you do. Who wouldn't? You want the freedom to think what you want and to express it in whatever manner you feel fit. Beyond that, you want the freedom to do, to make autonomous decisions and act upon them. Choose your career, choose where you live, choose your life partner if you're into that sort of thing. Choose what you spend your money on, even if it makes no sense. Freedom to do with your body what you see fit. Freedom to amass wealth if you want. Freedom to lie, steal, cheat, and defraud. Freedom to stop those who try to stop you. Freedom to be as corrupt as you like. Freedom to violate those who withhold what you want. Freedom to desecrate rights, whatever they are. Freedom to oppress those in your way. Above all else, freedom from repercussions. Right? No? I feel I lost you somewhere. In reality, freedom means nothing without boundaries and context. It's like saying, let's eat grandma. If I said that next to a table beautifully laid out with a piping hot Sunday roast and all of my nan's favourite trimmings, what I mean is obvious. But if I said that whilst pouring hot sauce on her, there is a disturbingly different but no less obvious meaning. Freedom is an inherently ambiguous term, which is a problem. We are human, we inherently crave the sensation of freedom, but when someone calls for freedom, what are they calling for? Where do they draw the line? Do they just want to give the elderly a nice meal? Or are they calling for more hot sauce? I guess what I'm asking is, how do we ensure our freedoms don't overrun into individualistic tyranny? Take America, the self-proclaimed land of the free, yet its people's rights and freedoms are being taken away. Here are just a few examples. Depressing, isn't it? Yet, the very people who were previously screaming that freedom is what makes the US so great and that this core tenet of the nation should be cherished are quiet. It seems the functional definition of freedom in America is that of individualistic, absolutist freedom of the wealthy. This shouldn't be surprising. Let's not forget that the US was founded on one of the largest genocides and ethnic cleansings in human history, and its economy was built on racial slave labor. The founding myth of this land is one of freedom to oppress, brutalize, and exploit to enrich a wealthy minority. Compare this to France. As an Englishman, I naturally hate France with an unbound jealousy, but no Brit truly hates France. We just want what they have. Less rat race, more life. Art de vivre, la dolce vita. And that, from what I can see, comes from their notion of freedom. You will find etched above the doors of all French town halls the phrase liberté, égalité, fraternité, which translates to liberty, equality, fraternity. This phrase has a direct link to the founding of America. The French royals heavily funded the American Revolution against the British. One of the most impactful ideas of this revolution came from Patrick Henry, who said, "Give me liberty or give me death." The French monarchy nearly bankrupt themselves funding this war, and so they cracked down on their subjects even harder. The irony that these people helped America gain their freedom, but they were denied theirs, was not lost on them. So they revolted and formed their own democratic government with the founding motto inspired by Henry of Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité. Those two added bits at the end aren't just there to make it sound nice. The English word egalitarian, which means a society of equals, originates from égalité. One of the reasons we draw from this French word and not the English equality is because the French not only had this as a motto, they demonstrated this. Slavery was abolished after the revolution, women were invited into government, and rights were expanded across the board. Compare this to the American Constitution, which proudly proclaimed equality, yet the country had slavery. So what about fraternité? Well, that is possibly the most important part. It is the collective. The idea that it is freedom together as a fraternity of people, not you as an individual. This idea went on to inspire John Stuart Mill's idea of the harm principle, which went on to inspire all modern social movements, from suffrage to civil rights to LGBTQ+ rights. When America had secured its independence and was busy working away genociding Native Americans, Mills was busy being the first white man to display basic signs of empathy. Like all Enlightenment thinkers, he championed individual freedom and saw them as the bedrock of the burgeoning Western world. But he was also keenly aware that such freedoms could harm others. Mills deeply respected his wife and repeatedly cited her as inspiration. She advocated for women's rights, particularly in the face of domestic abuse. Just a reminder that wives were seen as their husband's property back then, so they had no legal protection from domestic violence. However, giving women such legal protection was seen as infringing on the husband's freedom, so getting these basic rights legally recognized was an uphill battle, to say the least. Mills saw the slippery slope of individual freedom leading to tyranny. He realized freedom needed context to be even a vaguely useful thing. So he created the harm principle, the idea that society should only limit an individual's freedom to prevent harm to others. He placed freedom in the context of the collective, the fraternity of the nation, ensuring we are all free from tyranny, harm, and exploitation together. Again, this can be seen in practice after the French Revolution, as rights protecting people from such exploitation were rapidly given out. So, when you see liberté, égalité, fraternité carved into the very stone of French government buildings, it isn't just for show. It not only defines freedom, but also who is given freedom, and the context of that freedom. It says, you are free, we are all free, we are free from oppression, and we will thrive together. Just yelling freedom doesn't quite have the same ring to it, does it? Do you know who gained power by calling for contextless freedom? The Confederate States, Mussolini, the Nazis, the KKK, Francisco Franco, Trump, and Musk. This is not an exhaustive list either. Freedom is deadly without context. History is painfully clear on that. It is an essential part of the human condition, yet unbound freedom destroys humanity. Society is a superorganism, and we are its cells. Yes, cells need freedom to function and thrive within the organism, but when the cell is granted the freedom to devour its organism to fuel its own deleterious growth, we call that cancer in biology, and we act swiftly to kill it. Individual freedom without empathy and the context of the collective is a deadly cancer. It doesn't matter if it is within your body or within society. So, do you still want your freedom? Of course you do. It is human nature and you deserve your freedom. But you can only be human because of society, humanity, us all as a collective. We, that is every human alive, enable each other to simply exist. So if you genuinely want to be free, we need to limit a few freedoms that harm others, and that way others won't harm you, and we can each enable others to chart their own course. That way we can all be truly free and thrive together. And we should be wary of anyone calling for the boundaries of these freedoms to be torn down, as the motives can be nothing but exploitation of others, and by extension, you.